Hi, Bill. Hi, Gretchen.
We have a quorum, but Carol's got to show up because Charlie and Dan are not going to be here.
Oh, that's what you meant earlier about the quorum. Yes. Okay.
Because if the last one comes up and Carol's not here,
Yep.
we can't have it because we won't have a quorum. Because I have to recuse myself.
I see. Okay.
So, and Bill, it may be a very short meeting.
Yeah, a lot of things will be continued.
Oh, there's Carol.
Oh,
Good.
there's
I'm here. Yep, sorry.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, guys.
You kept the meeting alive, Carol.
Well, I'm not late, am I?
No.
Oh,
You're early.
oh, okay. All right. So I just wanted to tell you guys something. I'm sure you'll get official notice of this, but a couple months ago, we considered a case for down on Plum Island for somebody who needed an elevator because he was handicapped.
Right.
He passed away last week. So I
gosh.
assume they will probably be withdrawing their thing, but I don't know for sure. I haven't seen haven't seen my friend Robin yet to talk to her, but I just wanted to let you know.
I'm sorry. I did not know that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll give it one more minute. I think we'll have some Plum Island updates today, right, Julie?
Yeah.
Some good ones.
Yeah, I hope so. Things are good out there. Well, so far so good anyway. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much, but a little bit.
Was it the storm? I was up in New Hampshire on Friday and it was unbelievably wild up there. Was it bad down here? Did the Plum Island get messed up at all?
On
Last
Friday?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Friday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning was pretty heavy storm, but it had cleared out mostly by Friday afternoon.
Mm.
And they started, I believe, they had set up the piping out there for the dredge. They hadn't started pumping sand yet. So maybe that's a good thing. They just
Okay.
started.
Ooh.
All right. We have everybody here. So let's bring this meeting to order. This is the October 18th, 2022 Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting taking place on the Zoom platform. And this meeting is being recorded. First item are the meeting minutes from October 4th, 2022. Does anybody have any comments or changes or anything?
I make a motion to approve the minutes. Oh, actually, I can't do that. I wasn't there. Never mind. I withdraw my motion. I guess I could make the motion, but I can't vote on it. So either way.
Motion
Well,
to approve.
actually, I think you can vote on them,
Oh, okay.
but we'll leave that up to you.
Right.
All right. So we got a second, right? Somebody second?
I second it.
Okay. All right. Roll call. Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
I wasn't at the meeting, so I guess I abstained.
all right. Carol Wagon,
Abstain.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. All right. Next item are the Plum Island updates. New and old
Okay.
business.
Yeah, just quickly, obviously the main thing happening out on Plum Island right now is the dredge of the Merrimack River, putting the sand on the dunes and beach at Reservation Terrace. That started this week, end of last week, early this week. They are putting together the pipe at the end of the parking lot over by the Captain's Lady. They're sort of assembling it and shoving it out into the river to attach to the dredge. And then if you go out there, you can see that they've extended the pipe all along the beach, the top of the slope, all the way from Captain's Lady down to around 73rd Street, so 75th Street. And they've started pumping sand and it's filling in. And so things I believe are going pretty well. Haven't heard any issues or concerns so far. Again, for anyone who isn't aware, the beach is closed to public access probably till about March. And that remains the, the expected end date for everything. That's all I've got on that.
So are they, so they're dredging up around they're dredging out the Captain's Lady area?
Well, no, they're dredging out, and if you go to the city's website, you can see exactly where they're dredging. They're dredging what they're calling the inner harbor and the outer harbor. And I believe they're starting with the inner harbor, and then they're going to be dredging the outer harbor later. And so it's a pretty long length of pipe that they're using. I'm sorry, I don't have more detail to show on that right now, but it is available. Those diagrams are available on the city's website.
Okay, yeah, I saw those pictures you sent around, which are pretty good.
Whatever happened with the NOI we had with Charos, they were gonna be dredging there, and we never actually approved anything, did we? Or
We did. You all issued an order of conditions for a 10-year dredge project where he would be able to annually dredge out accumulated sand and sediments beneath the docks and in front for access for his boats and for public safety boats and things like that. And then they needed additional permits. In addition to the order of conditions, they needed an Army Corps of Engineers permit. They needed DEP, I believe it was a Chapter 91 license, and those never were received. And so it just sort of is hanging out there as an unfulfilled project.
okay, but the 10 years
Curious,
started as far as the order of conditions.
I'm sorry, what was the order of conditions? The order of
10
conditions.
years have started.
Well, at this point, they haven't begun. Oh yeah, I mean, the order of conditions was issued, 10 years would have started for our permit.
Yeah.
Whether or not they start on time isn't relevant to the expiration date of the order of conditions.
when you say the beach is closed down, can you still go into the parking lot and walk along the timber walkway?
Yes, yeah, so you'll see if you go out there, which might be interesting thing to do. You can drive out there and you can park in the portion of the parking lot closest to the playground. So if you go in the parking lot, you can pull over to the right, you can find a parking spot there, and you can still access the boardwalk. As far as I know, at least last Friday when I was out there, you could access the boardwalk, and you can go out to the end and kind of take a look and see the pipe and all that. And but you can't get onto the beach. Obviously, you can't get onto the beach from the boardwalk anymore, and all the other pathways are roped off. And there's signage and stuff like that. And there's people around associated with the dredge who would stop you,
It would be nice if that area eventually could get built up. I'm not quite certain how that figures in, but for many years, that was a nice access, and it's just been the last 3 or so that it's been cordoned off and everything else. Is that something that can happen? I wonder.
Well, I don't believe the project area for the dredge extends all the way up to the point right there. It doesn't. I don't think that it goes quite that far. So I guess the hope would be that sand would migrate on its own, which I think it does generally tend to migrate in that direction at certain times of the year. But yeah, no, that's a good question for DCR, who's had to close off that access to the beach. And, maybe if conditions allow in the future, they would add sand there to create a ramp to get back down. Yeah, it is too bad because it's a nice structure.
Yeah, nice view from there too, but hopefully it won't get undermined to the point where it falls over too.
We could talk about that at an MRBA meeting, an upcoming MRBA. That'd be a good question for DCR.
Okay. Do we have anything else? We're new and old. Hearing nothing. On to certificates of compliance and question determinations. The first item is Chris Skiba, Newburyport Development, 3543 Water Street, request for determination.
On this one, they continued to this meeting from the last meeting because we were waiting for information from them confirming the ownership of the lot that they're proposing this work on behind Oldies. It doesn't appear on paper to actually be owned by New England Development. And so until they could provide us evidence that they do own it and not the railroad, then we can't really address their request for determination. So I have not heard from them about that since previous to the last meeting, and no one is here tonight in the attendees. So I'm assuming that the best course would be to continue again on that one.
Okay,
We need a motion to continue.
yes.
So moved.
Second.
Second,
When are we continuing to? November 1st?
might as well.
All right, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes,
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes,
and I vote yes. All right. Next item, Gary Litchfield, 3H Street. Request for certificate of compliance.
Yes, on this one and on the following one for 1G Street, I received an email today from Patty in Litchfield's office, asking if we could continue to the November meeting and to discuss. They're just not available tonight, and they wanted to make sure that they could be here to talk about it. And she had provided some additional. I had emailed you a copy of the site plan that did show, or the architectural drawings that did show those garage doors. I emailed you the copy of that for, I think it was H Street. She emailed me a copy of the same architectural drawings for the other one. And so essentially she just wants to talk to the commission right now about the plantings and what they should do to finalize that and be able to move forward with a certificate of compliance. She also suggested that it would be a great idea to have a site visit, so we could all go out there and take a look at exactly where should be additional plantings should go in and that kind of thing. So if you want to talk right now about when people are available for a site visit, then I could throw some dates out to her tomorrow.
Okay. What do other people have time for?
I'm not available until the 26th.
Okay,
Which is fine too.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're
26 is fine.
got
Yeah,
till
I'm
November
good with the
1st.
26th.
I have something in the mid-afternoon, so I don't know what time you were thinking. If we did it in the morning, it would be okay.
Yeah, I have a flu shot and a booster shot at 3. So
Okay,
and I'm open.
Only thing is I'm not gonna have a car that week because I'm getting some repairs done, so I'll arrange to borrow a car from a friend. And somebody can give me a ride.
Did you say what, I have some things on that day that make it a little complicated in the morning. What time were you all thinking in the morning?
well, what time works for you?
I actually have a couple other site visits that morning, so I don't think that morning's gonna work for me. Would you all want to push it to Monday, the 31st? Anyone free?
As far as I know, I'm free the after, I'll
Halloween?
say afternoon, I'm free on that Monday.
I'm free.
Working on your costume?
Yeah,
Yeah, working, yeah,
I'm open on the 31st in the afternoon.
in the afternoon, okay.
Yeah, I am too. You want to pick a time? What about David and Steve?
yeah, I'm good. Earlier in the afternoon is better. Get my
1 o'clock.
1,000 pieces
One?
of candy ready.
1 o'clock would
That's
work, yeah.
right. You're on the hot street.
One works
okay.
for me.
All right, let me ask if she's available on that day. I'm just gonna tentatively put in G and H Streets at 1 PM on the 31st, and I'll let you guys know.
Okay,
Thank you. And then we should continue to
Yeah, can I get a motion to continue 3H Street?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes,
Carol Wagon,
yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes,
and I vote yes. All right, now continuance for 1G Street.
So moved,
Second.
second,
Roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
yes,
Carol Wagon,
yes.
Bill Mullen,
yes,
and I vote yes. Okay. Let's make sure that I take care of this. Okay. All right, can I get a motion to open the public hearings?
So moved.
second,
Roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
yes,
Carol Wagon,
Yes,
Bill Mullen,
yes,
and I vote yes. First item is Craig Pacina, Hill Street Business Park Realty Trust, 21 Malcolm Hoyt Road, notice of intent.
Okay, I think Tom's here, so I'm gonna move him over to be an panelist. All right, Tom, here we go. You should be here any second.
All right, good evening. Tom Hughes with Hughes Environmental Consulting. Just to be brief, and then we can continue. The project was approved at the zoning board last week, so we're moving forward and preparing to file the planning board application. I do want to go over some changes that were the result of the zoning board application, and then just briefly recap the site visit we did. And then we can have any discussion you think is appropriate, but basically we're looking to, I think, to continue out. I think we should probably continue out 2 meetings to give the planning board process time. So Julia, I sent you a presentation file for this one. Did you get it? It was just 3 sheets.
No.
If not,
Wait.
okay.
Hold on a sec. Let me make sure. Maybe I got it. No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
All right. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yep. Wait. Sorry. I did. Yeah, why don't you just share your screen because you're gonna have to
Okay.
share your screen for the next one anyway. Let me stop share.
Okay, so share screen. Okay. I know that's on the wrong one. I now have to get to, there we go. All right, so. All right, so the fire department commented on our filing when we went to zoning, and they wanted complete access around the building, which means 2 entrances. So what we did is we shifted the building a little bit in this direction and put in these 2 entrances. Steve Sawyer assures me that he can, update all the grading and everything in order to still stay out of the 25. So really, the biggest impact this has on what we sent into you before, and let me go down, is that we had a bunch of trees running the full width other than this entrance here. So essentially we shift the building over, we have 2 entrances, and the plantings up by the street are going to be confined in here. And I'm going to look to see if we can add another tree or 2 on this side. But it's not a huge impact. It certainly doesn't change how we ended up in the, with the 25. And I know we still have some comments from the last hearing where we have to trim the limit of work into, so we stay out of the 25 completely. So that's kind of the big change that came out of zoning. And then the other
Tom,
thing,
what happens to that rain garden? Is that,
so that should all be intact. It's just, if we go back to, so if you look at what we did with this, is everything kind of shifted a little bit to the left.
yeah,
Parking behind the building shouldn't be all that different, right? here, and then we should actually have about the same amount of space because of the way everything shifted over to the left. But ultimately, we'll have to update this site plan and show you the details on how all that works. But I did want to give you that update. The other thing I wanted to just briefly recap was the site walk. We did the site walk, and this is probably not the best thing to show it on, but so the stream runs down through the property and kind of has a bend down here, right? And we walked on the site walk, we walked both on this side and we walked over into this upland area here. And it's a very walkable, and actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Well, I don't have the aerial image here. The wetland is a very walkable wetland. And so what we talked about that I think makes some sense during the site walk is we could actually mow a path up to the stream. The stream is a very defined width. And then we could kind of build a very basic wooden bridge, nothing fancy, and then mow on the other side. And I'd taken a further look at the property a little bit after the site walk, and there's an area down towards the end of the Malcolm Hoyt frontage where it's much flatter. So we could come in off Malcolm Hoyt, mow a fairly flat kind of trail up to the stream, span the stream with a footbridge, and then mow all the way out to that upland area so that we'd give at least some access to the property on a walking basis. And, you know, even if you go on that property after a pretty heavy rainstorm, it's a fairly firm soil in that wetland. It is walkable. So we're willing to offer that if the commission is interested. And I know we had some preliminary sort of banter about it during the site walk, but I wanted to follow up with you guys on that. And if you're interested, we can then locate exactly where that would be and start off with a sort of mode stripe for the, you know, for when it's conveyed over to the commission.
Yeah, my only concern with having a mowed path is after we take it over, who's going to continue to mow it? We would need to get an agreement either from the Parks Department or DPS or somebody that they're going to continue to mow it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that might be something that we can explore between, you know, now and then. Maybe Julia can have some internal discussions with the city. And then if it seems like there's a viable way for that to sort of continue on, then, you know, then we could pursue it. And if not, then maybe it's just a good idea that's best left in the idea stage. And then down the road, maybe you can revisit it with an Eagle Scout project or something like that. It's a very light lift to be able to get over there. You really just have to get across the stream.
So on the next submittal, you'll show that, and am I missing something on this one as far as, what was it, a retention, detention?
Oh yeah, this is just for the zoning board where they don't really get into all that. So
but it
this is
looks like your
just the
entrance
outline.
Is right where it, you know, before it was right off the building. You're gonna put it on the other side of the new roadway?
Yeah, so basically that would be right in here. So we
Okay.
still would have our rain gardens here and here. Basically everything shifted a little bit to the left. And actually, let's see, so this has a 69-foot setback. Let me just see if our wetland plan had that. No. So I don't have that.
But basically, you're just moving the building one roadway width to the left.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that can't be right because that's telling me that I'm 89 here. Yeah, we're moving it, and then Steve will reconfigure the stormwater as needed, and we'll have to see how that site plan works out. Because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm conveying things exactly well. I wanted to give you some kind of an image of what it is, but we have not updated the detailed site plans yet with that configuration. We just had to get in and out of zoning with that. So that 69 feet to property line doesn't make a lot of sense when I look at it here
Oh.
unless,
It does, it does, because it makes sense that you
Oh,
would be
right,
closer.
it's to the new
to-
property line.
Yeah,
That's why. Okay. Hold on. Let's see if this is to scale.
well,
2.19 inches at a 50. So yeah, so it does make sense. So we were about 90 feet from the original property line. Now we're about 120.
from
So we
the
shifted everything
structure.
over
But
to
so
the
my question
structure.
is, but now what's the distance from the road though? Or
Right,
the access drive?
right.
That's the question. But anyway, and
Yeah.
also the associated like rain garden and whatnot.
Right, so 1.8, so that's about 80 something. So it's very similar to where the building was before.
Mhm.
You know, and I'll just have to let Steve Sawyer
Yeah,
kind of work out the magic and work out the details with that. But we'll get you into adjusted plan with the adjusted landscape and the rain garden and all that. And then if Julia and I can have some success in figuring out with the city kind of how it can be maintained, you know, mowed. You know, I don't think it would take regular mowing. I don't think it needs to be every couple of weeks. It's something where it probably could be done a couple times a year
yeah.
for a
We're-
path, but
We have a hard time getting our DPS to manage any of the trails that we already have, so
right.
it's, anyway, we can talk about that. as-
Yeah.
as-
That or we could ask for money in the budget to do it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
about
I mean,
that
that's
separately.
so.
Are you planning on putting that as a feature into the planning board application?
Well, I think I need to make sure, since you guys would be taking sort of the property as the Concom, I need to make sure that you would want that. And then, you know, I think at that point, I believe we would, although I don't know in the planning board application where we're ANRing off this land, whether the subject property is just the new lot. Not quite sure how that works. I know enough to be dangerous with planning board stuff, but not enough to be the expert. But yeah, so Julia, you and I can talk further about that. I'm going to sort of get that sketched out on a plan and then ask to visit the site with you to kind of take a quick look at it, and maybe we can let any commissioners know when we're going to be out there in case anybody else wanted to show up for it too.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
I didn't get to the other site visit, so that would be nice.
Yeah, and I'm happy to do another one for anybody who couldn't make the last one. That's fine. I mean, I think it's a beautiful piece of property. I'm not afraid to show it multiple times.
Yeah.
Tom, has
I-
anything
I would
happened with
be-
the homeless person's tent?
Yeah, no, and we will get rid of the tent. Steve Sawyer thinks that the tent may have been there years ago and may just be a relic, although it was standing up pretty well. So yeah, there was a tent there with signs of some past human occupation that obviously we would clean up before conveying the property to the city.
Yeah, I would be totally up for the structure, even if there was some question about who was going to mow it. It seems like once you get the feature in there, whether you can keep up with it or not, at least you got the potential to have it there in the future.
Yeah,
We have a open space manager too, which we can discuss with him whether he can coordinate a mowing or something, because you know, we can certainly afford to have somebody go out there and mow it once or twice a year.
If it
Some-
becomes a popular spot, then enough people walk there, it may not be as much of an issue either.
no, I do think once it's established, you get enough of a deer trail, at least people could walk through it. And the other thing we talked about is clearly marking wherever these property boundaries are, you know, on the property as well. So, and yeah, so I think we're in good shape. We're looking to continue this one out a month. And then I'll coordinate with Julia in the meantime. And, you know, if we can get out there a second time, I'm happy to do so. So with that, I'll request a continuance.
Okay, so November 15th,
Sure.
get a motion?
Motion to
to-
continue to November 15th.
Come on, somebody.
Second.
All right, roll call.
wheel.
Steve Moore,
Yes,
David Vine,
Yes,
Carol Wagon,
Yes,
Bill Mullen.
yes.
I vote yes. On the next item, I'm an abutter, so I'm going to recuse myself. Steve, you are up. And actually, I'm just going to, oh, we have a discussion on fences later, Julie?
It's not important. It's actually something that I don't have the materials I meant to have for, so we.
Okay.
can push that to the
Then,
next meeting.
Have a nice meeting, folks. I'm just gonna leave.
Right.
bye.
Good night.
See you, Joe.
Have a good night, Joe.
Bye-bye.
okay, 7 Doe Run Drive. Tom, you're up again.
All right, I'm Tom Hughes with Hughes Environmental Consulting here on behalf of Carrie Ann and Corey Cruz. Carrie Ann and Corey were looking to put an addition on their house, and they filed through the system as they had done earlier, or their contractor had done earlier in the year, a different contractor to put in a swimming pool. So when they did so, it was properly flagged for needing an RDA or a notice of intent. I went out on site and I saw a fresh swimming pool that was located fairly close to wetlands and a perimeter fence. And so when looking into it, it turns out that the swimming pool application was the one where the city realized it wasn't properly flagging departments. So Julia was never made aware of it, and it was never flagged for a filing. So what we've done is we've filed for after the fact for the pool and, in advance for the addition. So what I'd like to do is I'll present the project. We did get some DEP comments, and I had just been a little bit quick with my terminology. I had not made it really clear that we did have wetland replication in with our restoration of impacted wetlands. So I'll go through that as well. Project site is located off Doe Run Drive. So this is the existing house. This is the condition of the property, big, large yard area. This was prior to the pool. The swimming pool was installed in this area here with grading that kind of heads off kind of down around here. I'll show you on the site plan. And the edge of the grading is down kind of fairly, in the area of this A11, A12. But there is a separation. There are still some plants in between in this area here. And then a perimeter fence was installed, which is required when you have a swimming pool. The other thing I did, as you are familiar with the area, there is a perennial stream that runs under Doe Run a little bit further west of the site. So I basically traced the mean high water using an aerial photograph, and then I added about 10 feet, and then I put 200 feet off of that as kind of a maximum extent of riverfront as it would shed on the site, and it does not include the swimming pool area. Well, actually, the swimming pool area might just clip in there, but this is an overly conservative representation of riverfront. So I really don't think that any work was actually done in it. But I just wanted to be sure that the addition area was not in the riverfront. So this is the property. This is a picture from the back. If you're standing at the house, back right corner of the property, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, you can see the deck of the swimming pool right here, and then the loose soil where it was graded off around the edge. And you can see the new perimeter fence along here. The wetlands in this area are located on the opposite side of the fence. They do jump out through the fence over to these trees, and then it jumps back. So this is looking down along a retaining wall at the back of the yard. The retaining wall has clearly been there for a while. All this vegetation is growing in on the opposite side. The retaining wall essentially ends up representing the wetland boundary for most of its length, except in the back corner, kind of right in this area where there's an old swing set upside down, part of the debris that will be cleaned up. This area here is an area of old, pretty old fill. It's not something fresh. And this, I would hazard a guess at one time was wetland, probably when the house was originally built. This is the area where we'd be removing fill, bringing it down to the elevation of the wetland area. And we'd be replicating about, or mitigating with about 20 feet, 20 square feet of wetland. In this area, it'll be planted with ferns. And that is to mitigate for the impact of these posts, which are within the wetland for this fence was installed along the edge of the yard, and it did impact BBW in that area. The other place where that was impacted is just right up in that area right there. Okay, so let's
So there's been a lot of activity in the 25-foot no disturb zone too, right?
yeah, there has. Now, this is all associated with a single family home, so there is some flexibility within the ordinance. Luckily for that, so we don't need a variance. But we do need, we do need your approval. The other thing you can see is there's just all kinds of old, materials, old boards, wood, whatever, that's just scattered out in the wetland. There's some brush piles, some fresh, but most of it looks pretty old. And what we will be doing over about 100 square feet is cleaning all of that up, getting it out of there, and kind of, getting this whole wetland area to not show the signs of, human occupation the way it does now. So we'll be replicating it about 4-to-1 for the BBW direct impacts, and then mitigating for the disturbance within the 25 no disturb by really doing a good job on cleaning up the wetlands around the site perimeter.
So the fence on the photo that's on the my lower left-hand corner, that's their property, or their property is where the fence is, and that's something?
No, that is their property. Let me get to the site plan. Hold on. Let me now this is freezing up on me. Well, actually, you can see it here. So this is the fence line right here. Can you see my
Okay.
cursor?
Yep.
So that's the fence line. The
Uh-huh.
property line is actually beyond that, right? And these wetlands run over, they actually, from this flag 813, they kind of go up towards onto the neighbor's property, and then they run back down and then out. And so much of that is on their property, plus, and now I think my thing should be more responsive now. There we go. It's a big lot going back. So much of the debris is in this area, and then the brush piles are kind of in this area. So we'd be removing all of that, getting it out of there, properly disposing of it, cleaning that up. And then on the next image, I kind of gave you where I get my 20 square feet from. It's around flags A5, A6. This is an area that appears to have been filled historically, that we could easily bring the grade down to match the wetland grade and establish wetland in this 20 square feet. It's 0.05 square inches, which at a 20 scale gives me 20 square feet. So now the addition itself is located outside 25, basically, just inside the 50, 40.3 feet to the nearest wetland flag. It's actually a garage with living space above. And really, if that was the only thing we were talking about tonight, it'd be really straightforward, a really basic buffer zone NOI with an addition in the buffer zone. The thing we're trying to do is correct for the fact that the pool contractor, he went to the city, and is it their responsibility to have pursued things and actually went and tracked down conservation and found out if they needed a permit? Yes, but the way the city new system was supposed to have worked, it was supposed to have alerted Julia to take a look at this, and that didn't happen. So the checks and balances on that whole process didn't really work out. So this thing kind of went under the radar. And and had they not been looking to do a garage and an addition, I'm not sure that the pool would ever have come to light, or at least not in the near future. It just sort of happened in a stealthy way. So I think overall we've offered some pretty good mitigation, both in terms of the BVW replication and in terms of just cleaning up an area that has been impacted, probably since this house was built back. I think this is probably part of the original subdivision in the 80s. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions and, hopefully move towards getting this approved. And because of the DEP comments, if you are inclined to approve it tonight, I would ask that you put in a condition that, requires that the replication be done. Just to make sure that DEP is going to be satisfied that you guys are requiring us to do that replication. They basically said that we needed to do 1-to-1 at a minimum, which would be 5 square feet in their comments.
Can we go back and look at the pictures?
Yes, absolutely.
So, if you look at the center picture on the top.
Yep.
I'm going to zoom in on that a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So there's unfinished slopes there. Is there? And that's in the 25-foot no disturb zone, right?
It is, yes.
What's going to happen with that?
So it would be loamed and seeded. And erosion control will be put in. We do show erosion control in the plan, and with the commission's approval, we'll get the erosion control out during the appeal period, get it out right away. And that whole area is supposed to be, I believe, loamed and seeded off.
Any chance we could get some native shrubs in there? I know you're cleaning up all this debris, but it's basically, that should be done anyway, regardless of whether they put the pool in or not.
Right.
I'm not saying it's their debris that's there. It's probably a previous owner, but I guess I'd just like to see a little bit more for.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So there's, we'll look at the pictures again in a second. There's a couple places where we could do something. One would be, we've got this wetland area here, which is where there is the existing woody vegetation that you see in the picture.
Yep.
The fence kind of cuts through here. This side is pretty well vegetated, although some of it is invasive. This is kind of the lawn line here. What we could do would be to either add in some plantings back. There's that area kind of along the fence between there's a row of plants near that retaining wall, and then there's some bare areas. We could put some plants in there. And, what we could do would be maybe put in some plants, maybe to bookend this A11 to A12. Like, let me go back to the pictures. Like, what if we were to kind of extend these plants down in this area?
Sure.
So if we said we were going to put in, say, 10 shrubs, probably like dogwood or viburnum, I'd want to work with them to come up with a list they were happy with. Winterberry, things along those lines, facultative wet, facultative in that ballpark, and we could extend that along the fence in this back area.
Yeah.
Then what I would like to do would just be to have you condition that we provide you with a planting list. And that, maybe that's done. We could give you the planting list, I think, at the pre-construction meeting. And I think those plants could go in. It's a good time to plant in the next month.
Tom, I think we also, in addition to a planting list, I think it would be important to have that area sketched out on a plan associated with the planting list.
Okay. Yep.
just for certificate of compliance.
Yep, so here's what I'm going to do. Let's here's the nice thing with me doing the screen sharing tonight. Just to make sure that we're all kind of in the same spot. We're talking about this area right in here. I don't know why my computer is lagging so much. So right along the fence. There's a gate in there somewhere, so I don't want to block the gate, but I think we're looking at those plantings go in that area, and I can get you an updated plan showing that. Is that? I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
just made the
it
plan
would
jump.
be, I'm just thinking of how to write the special condition. I'm just thinking of it saying, prior to issuance of the order of conditions, a planting plan shall be provided showing detailed replication area plantings, showing
Yep.
details of the replication area and the additional planting area within the buffer zone to be planted with native species, something like that.
Right.
So I think if you could give us a revised plan that highlights that planting area as well as the 20 square foot replication,
Yep.
along with the planting list specific to each,
Yep.
that would nail it.
Yeah, so I think that's what I will do is I'll have the I'll have Donahoe mark this in here, and we'll put the plant list right on that plan. And then we will do the replication area, and I'll also similarly list out the cinnamon fern that we're planning on planting that area with. And we could get that into you pretty quickly.
Would any of those trees that you were showing us before need to be removed? Because some of them looked a little
No, I
challenging.
mean, they're not landscape specimen trees, but they're fine for buffer zone function.
Okay.
How about the area that you said it was going to be loam and seeded? I'm not following that on the plan here.
Yeah, so basically this whole area that you see with the contours 22 down to 18, that's all disturbed soil. So basically everywhere around that pool, the pool was just installed. So that whole area just needs to be loamed and seeded. It's all within our limit of work. We do have erosion control shown running along the fence along the side here, running back behind the shed, and then running back up and around and capturing everything from the proposed addition area.
So all I'm saying is call it out on the plan too.
Okay, I'm not sure we have the exact limit of disturbance on the plan, but what we'll do is we'll put an arrow and again, sort of a clouded area that just basically says loam and seed.
I agree with that. Thank you, David, because I just think it makes it more clear when we're looking at the site later for compliance.
Right. And what I'll do, Julia, is I'll email you this, or I'll email you a link to it, and this time it will work. I'll remember to paste the link with my markup that I've done, just so you can remember exactly what to expect. And then I might as well do the same for the replication area. Well, that's not exactly the right spot, but close enough for the replication area. I'll mark that up better. I should have used a polygon and not a square, but all right. Any other questions or comments?
I would just say as practice, this is for the commissioners, we don't do a lot of replications for vegetated wetland or any other type of replications because we have an ordinance that has a 25-foot no disturb zone. But when we do replications or have in the past, or as a general practice for other commissions, it's best to ask that the replication work be initiated prior to the start of any of the other work on the site, because often these things, and not that would happen on this project in any way, but often these things get left to the end as an afterthought, and then you're stuck trying to catch up with whoever's responsible for doing a replication area when the rest of the project has already been completed. So I would recommend in this case to have the replication work done prior to start of the proposed addition, just as a sort of a rule of thumb.
If I can ask for it to maybe be simultaneous with, because I think what will make sense
Yeah.
is they'll have equipment out there to dig for the for the addition, and that same equipment could be used to remove that fill and probably also to remove some of the debris and stuff from the wetland edge. So if we could have it, occur, simultaneous with the construction. And maybe we provide you with a full schedule for all that work at the pre-construction meeting. Something like that.
If that works for the commission, that works for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. Julie, if you are, you're the one who's gonna be out there.
No problem.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
I'm just a little bit surprised. I guess the homeowner somewhat gets a pass. The homeowner is the one responsible for permits, correct? Not the pool person.
Well, I mean, under the Wetland Protection Act, the homeowner is responsible. Contractors are given a pass under the Wetland Protection Act. However, the pool person was hired to put in the pool and get all permits, and they went to the city, so yes, the homeowner is legally responsible, but they did rely on the pool company to know what permits to get and to go to the city and take care of that. And
I'd have to back that up in this particular case, they did, whether it was the pool contractor or the homeowner, they went through the right steps. They went to the city, they went to the building department. What happened was it was part of the communication system within City Hall. We were in the middle of setting up this online permitting system where things go through that and they get flagged to different departments depending on jurisdiction. And it wasn't set up yet for them to flag us, and it just was missed. So I don't think that it would have been different whether it was the homeowner or the contractor in this case. They did the right things. It was really a glitch in the city system that caused this.
Well, it sounds like the mitigation is sufficient anyway at this point. So,
Okay, any other questions? Anything from the public, which we really don't seem to have any. Okay, not getting anything from the public. Can we get a motion to do something?
Motion to close the hearing.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Carol Wagon,
yes.
Bill Mullen,
yes,
David Vine,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearings?
I make a motion to close the public hearings.
Second.
Okay, Carol Wagon,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes,
and I vote yes. Okay, so I guess we need to do an order of conditions. You wrote down the one about the stuff that's going to go on the plan, right, Julia?
Yes, so let me just go back to our, I'll share my screen and we'll get back to the agenda just so. For process sake, yeah, so the special conditions that I wrote down during this hearing were, one, that simultaneous with, let's see. Simultaneous with initiation of construction of the house, the applicant shall replicate at least 20 square feet of bordering vegetated wetland as shown on the approved plans. That's one. And then the replication area shall be monitored for at least 2 growing seasons to ensure survival of 75% of the plantings. And the last one was, prior to issuance of the order of conditions, a planting plan shall be provided showing details of the replication area as well as the additional planting area to be planted with native species within the buffer zone.
Do we also want the 10 shrubs to be included in the 2-year survival?
Oh, yeah, great. How about I make the previous special condition should be replication area and any additional, replication area and additional buffer zone planting area shall be monitored for 2 growing seasons to ensure survival of at least 75% of planting.
Okay. And Tom, did we cover what you think DEP wants for a condition?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we've got the replication area in there. I think, do you have a minimum square footage in there?
I do, said minimum of 20 square feet.
Right,
Yes.
okay. And then, and just also for the commission's notice, I did just email that markup. So Julia, you should have that link, and I made sure the link was in the email this time. So,
Okay, great. And then we
yeah,
just need a planting plan that goes along with it, correct?
Right,
Like the
right.
planting list, sorry.
right. No, we'll have the typical replication notes. We'll have the plant list, and that it will be, overseen by the wetland scientist and
Yeah, all
all
that.
that. Yeah.
Okay, anything else from anybody? Anything we need to add? Okay, can I get a motion?
Motion to accept the statement of conditions. Order of conditions, sorry.
I second that.
Okay, roll call. Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Night.
Good night.
Bye, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything else we want to go over?
Actually don't have anything else to go over right now. I have an issue to talk about with fences, but I'm gonna hold that till the next meeting so I can get some materials put together.
Okay,
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
roll call vote. Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Bill Mullen. Bill, did you?
Yes.
Okay, David Vine,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Right.
Okay,
Thanks, everyone. See you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
good night, everyone.
Night.